This exercise is the kettlebell jerk. Now the jerk is a progression from the press to the push press and now the jerk exercise. So with the jerk, we're going to start the movement with that same first dip that we did in the push press. And then as we explode the weight up, we're actually going to drop into a second dip as we lock the elbow out. So the term you often hear in the jerk is called the double dip. That's what it's referring to, is this action in the knees. Now, in the push press, the heels generally do not leave the ground. Typically, you drop into that first dip, you drive the weight up, and then the elbow locks out into full extension. With the jerk, we're actually, after we drop out of that first dip, we're going to literally jump the heels off the ground. It's almost like an explosive calf raise to send the kettlebell into the air. Now, at this point, instead of pressing the bell out, we're actually going to drop underneath the bell into the second dip, and that's when the elbow locks out. Okay? So the way that we typically teach this exercise is in a few different phases. We have the first dip, okay? And then we've got the second dip, or the elbow lockout, where we land in the overhead squat position, and then we stand up to full extension. So what we want to focus on is literally jumping from the first dip into the second dip with the elbow locked out before we stand it up. So the key to learning this exercise, or the timing of this exercise, is literally jumping from that first position to the second position. Once you get the timing down, it doesn't have to be as aggressive of a jump. It can be more like an explosive calf raise. You literally don't have to clear the ground. But what I find is that will help people learn the timing of this exercise. All right, so I'm going to demonstrate it that way, where we break it down into each phase, and then I'm going to tie it all together and show you what it looks like when it's a little bit smoother. Okay? So the jerk starts out with a clean to the rack position. From here, you're going to drop into the first dip, or position 1. Then you're going to jump to position 2. Elbows locked, knees are bent, the hips are back in a partial squat pattern. Then you stand up to the third position to full extension before you drop back to the rack position. Okay? So position 1 is the first dip, jump to position 2, which is the elbow locked out in the overhead squat position, and then stand up to the third position, which is full extension. Now, this is what it looks like when it's all tied together a little bit more smoothly. You see that when it's tied together more smoothly, the feet really don't come off the ground, just the heels do. You're just using enough power to send the bell overhead. Typically, kettlebells aren't that heavy and don't require a big, full, explosive jump. We just do that to teach the transfer from the first to the second position. It helps with the timing and developing the skill to do the jerk. This can be done with 2 kettlebells as well. And that's the kettlebell jerk.